Iran is one of the most misunderstood countries on Earth. Some people think it's just desert. Others imagine only politics and headlines. But the reality? It's something entirely different. Iran is a place where ancient civilizations left behind impossible architecture, where volcanoes rise above emerald forests, and where islands bleed red into the sea. In this video, we're going to explore the most incredible places in Iran. But before we get to the locations, there are some facts you need to hear. Because they'll completely change how you see this country. And some of them are so surprising, even most Iranians don't know them. Let's start with something extreme. Iran is home to the hottest land surface temperature ever recorded on Earth. In the Lut Desert, NASA satellites once measured the ground at a scorching 159 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees Celsius, hotter than the Sahara, Death Valley, or the Australian outback. And yet, life survives here. Microbes cling to the salt. Nomadic tribes live on the edge. And winds carve the land into shapes that look like alien ruins. But here's what's even more surprising. While southern Iran is one of the driest places on Earth, the north is a rainforest. Yes, a rainforest. The Hyrcanian forests, stretching along the Caspian Sea, are over 50 million years old. That makes them older than the Amazon, and they once covered almost the entire northern hemisphere. Today, they survive only in a narrow strip of Iran and Azerbaijan. These forests are so rich in biodiversity, UNESCO called them one of the last remaining ancient broadleaf forests on Earth. And that's not all. Iran has 4 distinct seasons, all at the same time. In winter, you could be skiing on Mount Damavand, the tallest volcano in Asia, at 18,406 feet, 5,610 meters. While just a few hundred miles away, tourists are sunbathing on islands in the Persian Gulf. How is that possible? It's because Iran spans climates from snowy alpine to subtropical to desert, all packed within a single country. Now, let's talk scale. Iran is the 17th largest country in the world, bigger than France, Germany, and the UK combined. That means there's room for some serious natural diversity. For example, the Caspian Sea to the north is actually the largest enclosed inland body of water on the planet, often called the world's largest lake. The Zagros Mountains stretch over 990 miles, 1,600 kilometers, and contain hundreds of hidden valleys and tribal villages. And Iran's coastline along the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman spans more than 1,550 miles, 2,500 kilometers, much of it wild, unexplored, and stunning. But it's not just nature that surprises people. Iran is also a civilizational powerhouse. It's home to one of the world's oldest continuous cultures, with urban settlements dating back over 7,000 years. And at its peak, the Persian Empire stretched from the Balkans to India, the largest empire the world had ever seen. To this day, Persian influence can be seen across Asia, from architecture and language to gardens and astronomy. And here's a lesser-known twist. Iran has the world's largest collection of underground aqueducts, known as qanats. These ancient engineering marvels, some over 2,500 years old, still deliver fresh water to remote villages using only gravity, no pumps. Together, they stretch thousands of kilometers beneath deserts and mountains. It's one of the reasons Iran's ancient cities were able to thrive in dry regions long before modern plumbing. But modern Iran isn't stuck in the past. The capital, Tehran, is home to over 13 million people and has one of the busiest metro systems in the Middle East. It's a city of paradoxes, where women in colorful hijabs walk past glass skyscrapers, and where street food vendors sell saffron rice beside high-end malls. Iran also has one of the highest numbers of cultural heritage sites in Asia, with 27 UNESCO World Heritage sites. More than Japan, more than Egypt. Yet it receives a fraction of the tourists that other countries get. Most people don't know what's actually here. They don't know that Iran invented early algebra, or that Persian carpets are still considered the finest in the world, or that ice cream was likely invented here using underground pits of snow and rose water over 2,000 years ago. And here's something even weirder. There's a village in Iran where people still live inside caves, not as a museum, but as actual homes. No spoilers yet. We'll visit that place later in the video. But first, let's explore Iran's most breathtaking wonders. From glowing islands to hidden castles, frozen volcanoes to lush green villages. You're about to see a side of Iran most people never imagined. And by the end, you might just want to go there yourself. It's Iran's largest island, and one of the least expected. Keshm Island sits in the Persian Gulf, just off the southern coast of Iran. But this is no ordinary beach destination. Instead of resorts and palm trees, Keshm offers a wild, otherworldly landscape. Here you'll find the Valley of the Stars, a maze of twisted rock formations that look like they've been sculpted by aliens. According to local legend, a star once fell here and shattered the Earth. Scientists say it's caused by millennia of wind and erosion. Nearby is Chaku Canyon, a narrow sandstone gorge carved into deep passageways, some just wide enough for a person to squeeze through. When it rains, water collects in natural basins, sustaining small desert wildlife. The island is also home to the Hara mangrove forests, where saltwater trees rise from the sea and herons hunt at low tide. It's one of Iran's few UNESCO geoparks. And the most surprising part? This massive island, more than 80 miles, 130 kilometers long, remains mostly untouched by mass tourism. But we're just getting started, because just across the water lies a volcanic island with blood-red beaches and rainbow-colored hills. From above, it looks like a painter spilled their palette into the sea. Hormuz Island, just a short boat ride from Kesh, is one of the most colorful places on Earth and one of the strangest. The soil here is rich in minerals, especially iron oxide, which gives the land a deep red color. On the red beach, waves crash against crimson sand, turning the shoreline into something that looks like it belongs on Mars. But red isn't the only color. Just inland, you'll find hills in shades of yellow, orange, white, even purple, all formed by centuries of volcanic activity and mineral sediment. It's no surprise geologists call this a Rainbow Island. One of the island's most unusual features is edible soil. Yes, locals actually use the red powder as a spice in traditional dishes. And yet, despite its surreal landscapes and rich geological value, Hormuz remains almost unknown outside of Iran. The entire island is only 26 square miles, 42 square kilometers, easily explored in a single day. But don't let the size fool you, because our next stop is even more extreme. We're heading deep into the desert, to a place where temperatures once broke world records. It's not just the hottest desert in Iran, it's the hottest place ever recorded on Earth. In Dasht-e-Lut, NASA satellites once measured surface temperatures of 159 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees Celsius. That's not air temperature. It's ground heat, strong enough to fry eggs on rocks. But the real mystery? Nothing should survive here. Yet researchers found life, microbial organisms clinging to salt and stone. That discovery raised new questions about life on Mars, because Lut looks uncannily similar. This desert isn't just hot, it's surreal. The Gandambarian Plateau is a massive black basalt field where heat builds like a pressure cooker. And to the east, the Kalutes rise from the sand like the ruins of an alien city, massive wind-carved ridges stretching for miles. There's no shade, no water, no permanent settlements. And yet, this extreme environment draws geologists, filmmakers, and explorers from around the world. Why? Because nowhere else looks like this. And now, we're going from a dead, dry land to a place where people have lived for thousands of years, using only mud, brick, and brilliant design to survive the desert. Kerman might look quiet on the surface, but it's the gateway to some of the most bizarre landscapes in Iran. Located at the edge of the Lut Desert, Kerman is one of the oldest cities in the region, with roots going back more than 4,000 years. It was a key stop on the Silk Road and is still known for its carpets, pistachios, and architecture. The heart of the city is the Ganjali Khan complex, a stunning combination of bathhouse, mosque, and bazaar. Built in the 17th century, its ceiling mosaics and sunken hammam are among the best preserved in the country. But here's the part most people miss. Kerman is also the base for exploring the Kalutes, the strange ridged formations of the Lut Desert. They lie just 95 miles, 150 kilometers, from the city and feel like a different planet. But the desert isn't the only place where humans adapted to harsh conditions. Next, we travel to a city built from adobe, where towers don't just rise above the streets, they catch the wind. In the heart of Iran, where the desert sun beats down for over 300 days a year, lies a city that mastered survival long before air conditioning was invented. Yazd is known as the city of wind catchers. These tall, chimney-like structures, called badgers, cool homes by channeling even the slightest breeze into underground rooms. It's one of the oldest passive cooling systems in the world. But that's just the beginning. Yazd is also home to one of the oldest Zoroastrian communities still in existence. Their sacred fire temple houses a flame said to have been burning continuously for over 1,500 years. The city itself is a maze of mud brick alleys, rooftops, and hidden courtyards. From above, it looks like a wave of sand-colored domes stretching to the horizon. What makes Yazd even more impressive is its underground water system. Qanats, ancient tunnels dug by hand, have supplied water for more than 2 millennia, using only gravity. And while tourists often focus on Iran's grand mosques and palaces, Yazd is about quiet genius, innovation, survival. But now we're heading to a city known for poetry, roses, and one of the most spectacular shrines in the Islamic world. Shiraz isn't just a city, it's an idea. For centuries, it was known across the Islamic world as a center of poetry, gardens, and wine. Even today, its reputation holds. This is the birthplace of Hafez and Sadi, two of the most celebrated poets in Persian history. Their tombs are not quiet monuments. They're gathering places where people still come to recite verses and leave handwritten poems among the flowers. But Shiraz is more than literature. The Nasir al-Mulk Mosque, often called the Pink Mosque, is one of the most photographed buildings in Iran. Every morning, sunlight pours through stained glass windows, lighting the prayer hall in waves of color. It looks fake, but it's real. Nearby, the Shah Shiraz shrine glows from the inside. Its walls and ceilings are covered in tiny mirror tiles, designed to reflect light like a chandelier. No camera truly captures it. And outside the religious sites, there are gardens filled with roses and cypress trees, echoes of ancient Persian design, which later influenced Mughal India. But to understand why Shiraz once ruled empires, you need to leave the city and walk among the ruins of a civilization that once ruled the known world. Persepolis was the ceremonial capital of the Achaemenid Empire, one of the largest empires in history. Built over 2,500 years ago by Darius the Great, it was meant to impress and intimidate. The entrance is still guarded by the Gate of All Nations, flanked by giant stone bulls. From there, a staircase leads to vast halls, once lined with gold and silver, now bare, but still hauntingly powerful. One of the most striking parts? The detailed carvings. Dozens of delegations from across the empire, Ethiopians, Babylonians, Indians, Greeks, are shown bringing gifts to the king. It's a visual reminder that Persia was once a superpower, stretching from the Balkans to the Indus River. But it all came crashing down in 330 BCE, when Alexander the Great burned the complex during his conquest. Some say it was revenge. Others say it was an accident, fueled by wine and celebration. Either way, what's left today is astonishing. And while Persepolis shows ancient power, our next stop reveals something else. A city of symmetry, tiles, and architecture so perfect, it was once called half the world. Isfahan doesn't shout, it mesmerizes. At its heart is Naqsh Jahan Square, one of the largest squares on Earth, surrounded by mosques, palaces, and bazaars. The proportions are so balanced, so intentional, that many architects consider it a masterpiece of urban planning. The Shah Mosque, built in the 1600s, features towering minarets, 7-colored tiles, and an echo chamber dome that amplifies even a whisper. Not far from it is the Sheikh Lotfola Mosque, smaller but even more refined. It was built not for the public, but for royalty. And it shows. Inside, a single beam of light shifts across the dome like a moving clock. And outside, the tiled exterior changes color depending on the sun's angle, from cream to gold to soft pink. Across the square stands Ali Kapu Palace, with its music room carved to enhance acoustics. And then there's the Co Sepol Bridge, a 33-arch marvel that spans the river. At night, it becomes a gathering place, lit, lively, full of music. But Isfahan is not just a destination, it's a blueprint for elegance. Next, we head north, to a quieter town, where elegance takes the form of traditional homes carved in stone and built around silence. If you want to understand how wealthy Persian families lived 200 years ago, this is where you go. Kashan is famous for its historical houses, especially the Tabatabai and Borujerdi homes. These aren't ruins, they're time capsules. Carefully preserved mansions with stained glass windows, wind catchers, and underground chambers that kept the air cool in scorching summers. Many have multiple courtyards, each one designed to manage light, privacy, and temperature. Some were built with secret tunnels and even indoor water channels connected to the city's qanat system. But Kashan isn't just about houses. The Sultan Amir Ahmed Bathhouse offers a look at traditional Iranian bathing culture. With dome ceilings and turquoise tiles, you can even climb onto the rooftop, where the clay domes offer panoramic views of the old city. Kashan is also known for its rosewater, still distilled in the nearby village of Kamzar every spring using centuries-old methods. And it's just a few hours from Tehran, Iran's modern capital. But don't expect another historic town, because next we enter a city of glass towers, smog, expressways, and unexpected depth beneath the noise. Iran's capital is chaotic, noisy, and massive. Over 13 million people live here. But beneath the traffic and skyline, Tehran holds stories most visitors never hear. Start with the Gulistan Palace, a Qajar-era complex filled with mirrored halls, royal thrones, and mosaic courtyards. It's a reminder that Tehran wasn't always the capital, but when it became one, it aimed for grandeur. Then there's the National Jewelry Treasury, where you'll find crowns, swords, and a globe made of emeralds and rubies. It's only open a few days a week, and security is tighter than most banks. Outside, Azadi Tower marks the gateway to the city, a blend of modernism and traditional Persian architecture. And rising above it all is the Milad Tower, one of the tallest in the world at 1,427 feet, 435 meters. But what most don't realize, Tehran sits at the base of a mountain range, and on a clear day, you can see a snow-capped volcano looming over the skyline. That's where we're going next, to Iran's highest peak, a place of myth, science, and extreme altitude. It's not just the tallest mountain in Iran. It's the tallest volcano in all of Asia. Mount Damavand rises to 18,406 feet, 5,610 meters, dominating the Alborz mountain range and the skyline of northern Tehran. On a clear day, it's visible from over 60 miles, 100 kilometers away. But Damavand isn't just a peak, it's a symbol. In Persian mythology, this mountain was where the evil tyrant Zahak was chained, and it's mentioned in the Shahnameh, Iran's national epic. Today, it attracts both climbers and scientists. The summit often steams slightly, a reminder that it's dormant, not dead. And while it's covered in snow most of the year, volcanic sulfur vents dot the slopes. Climbing Damavand isn't easy. Altitude sickness can strike fast, but in summer, the trails turn green and wildflowers bloom around old lava flows. The mountain has its own climate, its own legends, its own dangers. And once you descend, you're not far from something completely different. Castles, cloud forests, and valleys where assassins once ruled from stone fortresses in the sky. At first, it looks like a peaceful mountain valley, but high above the cliffs lies one of the most mysterious fortresses in Iranian history. Alamut Castle, perched at 6,560 feet, 2,000 meters, above sea level, was once the stronghold of the Assassins, a secretive Ismaili sect that operated in the 11th and 12th centuries. From here, they controlled a vast network of hidden castles, striking fear into kings and caliphs across the region. The castle ruins are now reachable via a steep hike, offering panoramic views over the Alamut Valley, known for its deep canyons, almond trees, and fog-filled mornings. Nearby villages preserve a quiet way of life. Some still bake bread in outdoor ovens, and children walk for miles to reach school. It's isolated, rugged, and unforgettable. But if you descend from these mountains and head north, something surprising happens. The terrain changes, the trees thicken, and suddenly, you're in a world that feels more like Southeast Asia than the Middle East. This isn't what most people picture when they think of Iran. On the southern edge of the Caspian Sea, the landscape flips entirely. Gone are the deserts and stone. Here, it's all rice fields, palm trees, and misty hills. The Mazandaran and Gilan provinces sit between the Alborz Mountains and the sea, forming a lush subtropical region that feels like a different country altogether. Villages here are built on stilts to survive flooding. The air is humid. Markets overflow with smoked fish, pickled garlic, and tea grown on the nearby slopes. And the Caspian Sea itself? It's the largest enclosed inland body of water on Earth, covering 143,000 square miles, 371,000 square kilometers. On hot summer days, locals crowd the beaches in cities like Ramsar and Bandar Anzali, but turn inland and you'll find forests, waterfalls, and ancient cemeteries lost in green. But it gets even older, because deep within these woods are trees that predate human civilization. They've stood for tens of millions of years, and they're waiting just a few miles away, in one of the last surviving ancient forests on Earth. These trees are older than the Ice Age. The Hyrcanian forests stretch along the southern coast of the Caspian Sea, covering over 21,000 square miles, 55,000 square kilometers, across Iran and Azerbaijan. They've existed for more than 50 million years, making them one of the oldest surviving temperate forests on the planet. In prehistoric times, similar forests covered much of Europe and Asia. Today, this is one of the last places where that ancient world still lives. Inside, you'll find oak, beech, hornbeam, and species found nowhere else on Earth. Birds migrate through here. Leopards still roam the higher elevations, and fog clings to the forest floor like a whisper from the past. UNESCO designated the Hyrcanian forests a World Heritage Site in 2019, but they're still relatively unknown, especially compared to rainforests in South America or Southeast Asia. Trails here are often muddy. Weather changes fast, but the air is rich with oxygen and the scent of wet leaves. And hidden deep in these hills is our next destination, a fortress built inside the jungle, once lost to time, and now slowly being reclaimed by it. You don't see it at first. You hike through trees, climb old stone steps, and then, suddenly, it appears. Rud Khan Castle, hidden in the green mountains of Gilan province, is one of the most impressive fortresses in Iran. Built during the Sassanid era and expanded in the 11th century, it sits at 2,300 feet, 700 meters above sea level. Its walls stretch for over 4,900 feet, 1,500 meters, and connect 42 watchtowers, making it feel like a miniature version of the Great Wall, but covered in moss, mist, and forest. Today, reaching Rud Khan takes about an hour of uphill hiking, past waterfalls, streams, and jungle-like terrain. But the payoff is massive. But now, we leave the forests behind, because up ahead lies a legendary village, built into volcanic rock, where families still live inside caves. Some places are ancient, others are alive. Kandavan is both. This village, located in East Azerbaijan province, is famous for its cone-shaped homes carved directly into volcanic rock. The result of ancient lava flows from nearby Mount Sahand. Unlike similar sites in Turkey's Cappadocia, people still live in these rock dwellings. Not as museum pieces, but as functional homes, many passed down through generations. The stone acts as natural insulation. Cool in summer, warm in winter. Many homes have multiple floors, carved vertically into the cone. Some even have electricity, running water and Wi-Fi, all inside 700-year-old cave walls. There's also a natural spring believed by locals to have healing properties, especially for kidney issues. Visitors fill bottles to take the water home. Kandavan isn't large, just a few narrow paths winding through the rock formations. But every angle looks like a fantasy film set. And just a short drive away lies a city that helped shape Persian identity in the Northwest. A cultural hub, a historic crossroads, and a place that once rivaled Tehran itself in influence. For centuries, Tabriz was the beating heart of northwestern Iran. It was the capital of multiple dynasties, the starting point of Silk Road caravans, and a melting pot of cultures: Turkic, Persian, Armenian, and more. Its most famous site is the Tabriz Bazaar, one of the largest covered markets in the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. With over 4 miles, 7 kilometers of interconnected corridors, it's not just a place to shop, it's a city within a city. The architecture is stunning. Brick vaults, arch ceilings, traditional caravanserais, and light streaming in through centuries-old openings. You'll find spices, carpets, copperware, and tea houses buzzing with life. Tabriz is also known for the Blue Mosque, once called the Turquoise of Islam. Though heavily damaged in an earthquake, its remaining tilework hints at past glory. And beyond the city lies the Azerbaijani Plateau, leading to the final stop on our journey, a lake that once dominated the region, but now tells a very different story. It was once the largest saltwater lake in the Middle East. Now, it's a warning. Lake Urmia, located between Tabriz and Urmia city, used to cover over 2,000 square miles, 5,200 square kilometers, almost the size of Luxembourg. But over the last few decades, the lake has shrunk by more than 80% due to dam construction, irrigation, and climate change. The result? Vast salt flats stretch where water once shimmered. Old piers now stand in the middle of cracked earth. And what water remains is often blood red, caused by salt-loving algae and bacteria. Still, Urmia remains visually striking. The salt creates bright white crusts around the shoreline, and flamingos occasionally return during wet seasons. Efforts are underway to revive the lake, including redirected river flows and conservation plans, but the outcome is uncertain, and that's what makes it unforgettable. And with that, our journey through Iran comes to an end. We've seen deserts that defy life, forests older than civilization, and cities built to outsmart the Sunday, but Iran doesn't fit into one story. It's not just ancient or modern, not just dry or green, not just one culture or one landscape. It's all of them at once, layered, complex, often contradictory. And even after all these places, one thing becomes clear. You could spend a lifetime here and still feel like you're only beginning.